Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Fred Jones. I have the privilege of speaking to Mr. Larry Glover. I met Larry some months ago, maybe 5 or 6 months or so, in a $1 million mastermind hosted by Mr. Ray Edwards. And Larry has turned out to be not only just a mastermind colleague, but a friend and a business partner. We've been working together in business, and I'm just honored to have him. Larry, how you doing today?
Doing excellent, Fred. Good to be here.
Larry, as I was telling you before I got started, I woke up this morning. We met in Ray Edwards' mastermind, $1 million mastermind up in Spokane, Washington, some time ago. And I was just thinking, wow, it requires a certain kind of mindset to join a mastermind like that. But before I jump into that mastermind, I want to ask you a question. Who is Larry Glover?
A mystery wrapped inside a riddle and an enigma, No, I mean, I'm a simple guy. I'm a business consultant. I've been working around business and technology consulting the last 25 years. I've been working in technology since a lot longer than I'd like to admit, since the early 80s. Immediately after high school, I went in the Air Force, got into some technology stuff, and I got out of the Air Force, became a programmer. So I've been around IT and computers all my life, just about.
So you're a IT, business computer programmer, consultant.
Yeah, the nice thing is when you get older and you gain some experience and even some gray hair eventually, clients start listening to you, and that when you say something, they listen because they realize you're not just a kid out of school. And for many years I looked like I was a kid out of school, but fortunately I got past that point in my 40s and people actually started listening to me. It was good. I was very fortunate to have some great mentors. I had a couple specific mentors that taught me how to be a consultant, taught me how to put the needs of the client first, and you will win that way. And it's been true. I've been fortunate that they were able to put me in front of some really blue star clients. I mean, like CEO of Ford, CEO of several manufacturing companies that I've worked with. And, through the 90s and especially from the dot-com boom and the dot-com bust, I'm proud of the work I was doing back then, and then into the 2000s when I started working for one of the large global banks. What I did was over that time, I learned how to work with clients and learned how to analyze their problems and figure out a solution that would work for them, all the while never being in the front. My whole way I work is my client is the one in front and I make them look good. I want to make sure that everyone thinks they did it and I was there to support them. Doesn't matter if I brought the answer, it eventually was their answer because they're the ones paying for it and they're the ones that asked. So that serves me well. And I was doing it for those large clients. And then starting about the early 2000s, as a side business, I started helping a lot of small businesses. And for a while, I was working with a lot of ministries as well. And I was able to take that large organization, Fortune 500 consulting background, and focus on small business and missions and people on a mission. And it's been fun. It's used to be my side business working for small businesses. Now it's becoming my main business because it's a lot more fulfilling. I have a lot of fun doing that. And that's how we hooked up.
That's what I was thinking about as you were saying that. I remember we were in this meeting and the coach was saying how some of you are creatives, you're artistic, and you are, I can't remember the other category, visionaries, about different business type people. And he was saying that if you're a creative or a dreamer, you need a business type mindset person. And I remember walking out of that meeting that day, and you and I sat down, and in about 15 minutes or 30 minutes at the most, you had laid out a blueprint or mapped out my business that has given me like a peace of mind and clarity, almost like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Tell me about that type of gifting, and how does that, how, tell me about that.
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to my technology background. As at one time, I was a programmer. When you're a programmer, you start working out on the small pieces. It's just a lot, there's a lot of code involved just to make some of the small things happen. But as you gain experience and you move up in your career, you start seeing the bigger picture and the bigger picture. And for several years as a consultant, I was what we called a systems architect. And a systems architect has to look at the entire business. I mean, what many of my clients were in manufacturing. So you don't look at just the production floor. You've got to look at where production input comes from, the supply chain, the distribution channel at the end of it. You also have to look at how do you find those customers, and how does your salespeople make sales? So you end up seeing the big picture of the company. And I found that I do it visually. I just learned for myself, I needed to do it visually. And I found out that not many people were able to do that. They couldn't see an actual big picture. And that's what I like to do. So when helping you, I created several years ago, and I didn't really push it because I had lots of clients and I was very busy. But now, and what I'm helping you with, it's a process that I call mission blueprint. So it works out, how you said, a blueprint for your business. And that's something I'm working on, and we'll be rolling out here very soon.
Let's talk about it, because I think that's something that's very dear to your heart. But before I go to Mission Blueprint, I want to underscore something that you just said, and you kind of just said it so smoothly that the average person might miss it. I almost missed it, but I heard you. You said you work with a lot of companies and CEOs, and you found out that one of the key components to being a successful consultant is putting the needs of the client first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you're in the large organization consulting, up there with the McKinseys, the KPMGs. I worked for KPMG, one of the large consulting and accounting firms, for several years. They have the ear of the executive suite. They have the ear of the board of directors and CEO. And all the consultants know that once you deliver one project well, you will be called upon to deliver many more. And they're really pushing their needs. And that's really a slam on consultants, is a lot of times they come in and they're trying to keep themselves gainfully employed. They're looking for the benefits to them versus their client. When Vince, one of my boss back at KPMG and one of my mentors, he helped me understand that you've got to put the needs of the client first and make the client look good. Make the client look like it was their idea. Many times it is, many times it isn't, but you want them to feel like with your help, they succeeded, but you want them promoted. In the end, yeah, I'm pushing for, what's good for me too, but I don't win unless they win.
Larry, I hear a lot of people say that, but I got a sneaking suspicion that that concept is deeper in you than what you have told me about. So I want to ask you a question. Where did you get this idea of baking, if I may, baking ministry into business? Because I see a lot of ministry in the way you do business, because I see a heart behind you. Some people can say that, but when you say it, it's so convincing. When we talk, I don't make money until you make money. When you make those kind of statements, sometimes they're empty, sometimes they're warm. You say it and it's very warm and convincing. Where did that come from?
Well, I mentioned earlier, I was fortunate to have some really good mentors. When I was in the Air Force, my mentor, Tech Sergeant Jerry, he was my boss. He taught me, although I'd been working prior to the Air Force and I'd had jobs, and Dad taught me a work ethic, and I think he taught me a pretty good work ethic. Jerry showed me then that the goal was to make sure he made sure everybody that he was responsible for had everything they needed. Later on, as I'm a programmer, another guy, Gary, he was my boss. He was also former military. Well, what he taught me was not only do you make sure that everybody on your team and everybody you're responsible for has what they need, but you make sure you're there to get rid of any roadblock. So he was always there, to never in our way, but he was there quickly to get everything off the tracks so we could do our work. And then again later, I met Vince, my really good mentor, and he's the one who taught me how to be a good consultant. And then next, I had a mentor and a business partner, Steve, and Steve was a very deeply biblical religious guy, and his ethics and morals were outstanding. Every decision was guided by the word, and I was so impressed the way he worked and the way he brought spiritual decisions, spiritual influences into his decisioning, always asking what the right thing to do would be. Not right for him, and many times he made decisions that actually harmed him financially, or maybe didn't give him the best outcome today, but he built relationships and bonds with people that lasted forever. He and I are still friends. He's retired, but he's one of the guys I will look up to forever. And that, putting everything those guys taught me, just kind of made me who I am today. It's been good.
I definitely can agree. I definitely can agree, because in our group, I see there's a lot of attraction around Larry Glover, a lot of attraction there. Larry, you made mention of Mission Blueprint. I believe I got that right. Mission Blueprint.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, as I said, I've been working on this for many years. And originally when I focused on it, it was going to be more focused on missions, Christian missions, and how to help them. But as I worked over time, it's not just the Christian missions, it's every client I come into contact with. They're that way. They need help. So what I've found is that coaches, influencers, and authorities, even authors, they know they need an online presence to support their clients and grow their business. But with all the options out there, they become overwhelmed and intimidated when they try to figure out what steps to take first, or even which steps are necessary. So after a while, they become, it's paralysis by analysis, and they waste months and even years dreaming of building that platform and that business, yet they make no real progress, and they end up losing hope or never succeeding. And so what Mission Blueprint does is it guides you through the overwhelm by teaching you to clarify your mission, create a plan, and build a platform that supports your clients and grows your business. And the way I'm setting it up, I'm very confident that coaches and influencers and anybody with an online business, if they follow Mission Blueprint, they're going to be better prepared to quickly reach their community, grow their business with the products and services that community needs, and then succeed. And so I'm setting that up as a online class, as a workshop, and we'll be rolling it out here very soon.
Mission Blueprint, help you clarify your vision, map out.
Clarify your mission, create a plan, and build a platform.
Okay. So who's your target audience? Who's your ideal client?
Like everybody says, oh, my business, everybody's my client. Well, that doesn't work. You have to focus. So I'm looking for online coaches and influencers and business coaches and life coaches. So that's who I'm going to target first. This may apply to nearly anyone, but as a business owner and as a business plan, you've got to focus on your specific community. And so that's who I'm going to start out working with. And I have tools and tips or techniques, however you want to say it, that are specifically targeted for online coaches, how they can reach their community, how they can support them, specific software platforms and products that they can use. That way it takes away some of you could do this 100, 500 different ways. but I'm going to give them examples that work. And there's 100 right answers. This is just one of those answers, but it's definitely going to work for them.
What makes you stand out? What makes you different than other people who are doing things similar to what you're doing?
I'm just like everybody else, but as we work together, and as you know, working with me, it's personal to me. So everybody will say that, obviously, but I think after I work with people, they understand that it's not just a saying. I really am deeply committed to them succeeding. I want to be there with them. As a consultant, that's what I like to do. I like to make, I don't want to be the guy in the front. I don't want to be the guy in front of the camera. I want to be the guy over here on the side, helping them succeed and doing everything they need to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing for, like I said, 25, 30 years.
Well, I can definitely attest to that you have been consistent with that as we have been working together, and it's a real joy. It's a real joy working with you. Okay, so when people finish working with you, Larry, what do they walk away with? What's those big results?
What they will walk away with from Mission Blueprint is an actual functioning platform. Something that will, what we do is, it's not just me building it for them or telling them what to do, but at the first part, there's 5 steps, 5 phases to Mission Blueprint. Commit, connect, create, communicate, and collaborate. So in the first step, it's commit. That's where you're going to build your foundation. We start off with building a basic website. We also, as part of commit, I want you to understand what your mission is and what your business is. So we're going to sit down and actually lay out what the requirements are and what your product is. How do you think you're going to make money? What I've encountered many times is people want to provide counseling services. Well, if you're trying to provide counseling services that I can get locally for $40, $20, $50, you're trading hours for dollars, and you're going to trade a lot of hours because, one, you're competing against those guys locally. We'll look at your business model. You know, if you recall, we sat down and I have a spreadsheet. I'm big into spreadsheets because that's what I've done. But we've got to lay down all of the ways you're going to bring revenue in, and then we're going to look at all the expenses that it takes to support that revenue. And what people find out pretty soon is that they were better off keeping their old job, or they're actually hurting themselves by losing that old job, because you've got benefits, you know, you got medical benefits you got to pay for when you're working for yourself. You've got other insurance, you've got unemployment insurance, taxes that you didn't realize your employer was paying. So we look first during the commit phase and we make sure that it's a viable business plan. We also look at it, and I want to make sure that you understand your business and that you understand where you're, when you provide value, what builds that value. You have products, you have resources, whether that's software you use, you have partners, maybe you're using some software outside the company, but you have lots of input to that value, and then you have to get it out to your customer. Many people forget that they have to pay for Facebook advertising, other marketing, you know, access to some of those tools. That's not free. So we lay out every expense, and I've got a toolkit, a map. It's a business blueprint, and I lay it all out, and we look at that, and so we can see what the business requirements are, where they apply, and we make sure that your business is a viable, ongoing business. I'm going too deep with you, but that's an important first step, because you can go and do all these other things and you get to the end and you find out, well, I'm not making any money. You know, I'm not successful here. I got more headaches than I had before. So that's why it's important we do that groundwork up front. Wow. And then after you build that groundwork and you build your basic website, then we start connecting with your community. And that's where you're going to start doing a blog, and you're going to build a landing page, and you're going to find techniques of how to attract people to your landing pages, whether it's with a lead magnet or other email marketing. And we've got instructions on how we build that. You and I have done a lot of copywriting. I've written a lot of copy, so I'm showing you what some of the tips are and how to create content and copy for your website and for your marketing campaign. Once we identify your tribe and we start talking to them, then we go out and we go into the create phase. And create is when you start talking to them to find out what they want. What do they need to succeed? And so there are things like we'll set up a membership plugin on your website. That way you can instead of just email marketing to them, you're actually going to get their email address and make them a member of your website. And you'll always have that email list that you can keep going, and you can provide content to members only. You could eventually, I'll show you how to turn that into a revenue stream where you start charging a subscription, or you create a product and a course to sell, and that goes behind the membership wall. So when you go in the create phase, I say you're creating and giving them what they want. And then once you do that, now it's time to start communicating more with them and finding out how to refine that product. Because you start out with a small audience and you give them what they want, but if you want to grow, you've got other products and services and content that you need to add to that to really grow your business. And so that's what phase 4 is. In the communicate phase, you're interacting with your tribe, with your community. And then finally, we get to the 5th one when you have an ongoing business, and I call it collaborate. And that's when you are really having that conversation. You're going to social media with conversations. You're having courses, you're having workshops, you're having webinars, but always having conversations with your community, finding out what they want, and then building content that supports them.
What happens when you put the cart in front of the horses? What happens when you do this backwards?
Yeah, well, if you do, you end up with a disjointed system that when you have a small tribe, a small community, it might work, but you're going to work awful hard at it. You're going to put a lot of hours in, and it's not efficient. There are ways. Everybody would love to go back and fix things the right way, but we never have time because we get busy. And so with Mission Blueprint, we're laying that plan and that blueprint out ahead of time and doing it in a measured order in a certain sequence that will allow you to, after you finish one task, it builds and supports the next thing you're going to do and the next thing. So it puts some order and structure in your business. If you put the cart before the horse, it's difficult to find structure that's consistent. You end up, like I said, putting a lot of hours into that. Whereas somebody who's done it the right way and planned for it, they will sleep better at night.
Wow. Larry, this has been some great information. You really, even though we and I are working together, you've kind of really bumped this to another level. I didn't know that I would get this level of clarity and understanding from our chat today, but this has been very rich. So listen, I'm quite sure some people have heard this or listened to this interview right now, and they're like, man, I'd like to talk to that guy. I want to know where I can find him at. Okay, somebody's probably interested. How can somebody find you if they wanted to start talking with you?
Well, they can go to missionblueprint.com and they can start interacting with me. I've got a landing page up, and as I said, I'm just rolling this course out, and I'm going to be starting the course up and having an initial group go through it, and that initial group will be my guinea pigs, for lack of a better term to use. But the process, the tools behind it, I know those work. I've been doing this for 25, 30 years. I know it works. But what I want to do is put it in a package that logically flows with each thing and helps people go through. So the first group, they're going to go through, they'll get a pretty significant discount to be my early partners, early adopters, and we'll go through that course. And then eventually what I want to do is, I currently live in LA, but that's because one of my clients is here. My goal is to move to a much better location. You know, with this virus stuff right now, you never know what's going to happen. But I want to get out of LA and get back to a smaller location, smaller town. But I also want to take this on the road. So my goal is I'm going to target certain geographic areas and try to set up workshops where I can get 8 to 12 people in these workshops and do some traveling that way. One, because I love to travel, and two, I like to help people. So that's a way for me to see part of America again and get around and visit people and have friends everywhere.
Well, I don't think you have any problems making friends and finding people, because you love to help people and you help people from your heart, and you can definitely feel it. You know, you can feel the genuineness, and you got a natural ability to cause people to trust you. So awesome, awesome, Larry. Hey, listen, if y'all looking for someone to help you, Larry, give them that website again, where they can find you at.
It's missionblueprint.com. And go there, sign up to get part of the email list, and you'll start receiving emails and learning all about it.
There you have it, missionblueprint.com. Larry, thank you so much for your time, and it's just been a real pleasure. Someone tweaked my closing line today. They said the most expensive price you will ever pay is listening to the message of the wrong people. Well, I'm glad to know that we're listening to one of the right people today. His name is Mr. Larry Glover. Thank you, Larry. You have a good evening.
Thanks, Fred.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.